The Shanquella Robinson case has received a final update, despite the fact that it probably won't be exactly what you want to hear. However, the prosecutor in charge of this case in Mexico held a press conference on Friday, at which he made a number of significant statements. Finally, the Mexicans have provided an update on Shanquella, which has shaken up the Cabo Six, because Shanquella will finally receive the justice she deserves and they will be sent to jail. He is looking into everyone, including the Cabo Six and the doctor who was in the hotel room. However, they are continuing their investigation into this case. Second, he said that he had asked for the person he thought was responsible for this death to be extradited. Dejana. Even though we are aware of it, he did not name Dejana. The new information suggests that an arrest warrant has been issued for a suspect in either Robinson's or Shanquella's deaths. They didn't say who the main suspect in the Shanquella was, as usual, but it's clear from the video evidence and autopsy results that Janie Jackson, the brutal woman in the video, is the main suspect. Thirdly, he stated that he had requested interviews with the Cabo Six from U.S. officials. After the main suspect has been apprehended, Cabo Six will also be interviewed because they have been identified as the people who were with Shanquella when she died. In addition, they were accused of altering Shanquella's clothing prior to the arrival of the medical personnel, altering the scene of the crime, and lying about the cause of death. In this case, no one can be held accountable, so he is still looking into the matter. He is looking into everyone. The six Cabo, it probably also includes the hospital room doctor. It would appear that every person associated with Shanquella will be the subject of an investigation until everything is made public and Shanquella finally receives retribution from the doctors and the police, who sent fictitious reports to the friends who allegedly committed suicide. The authorities in Mexico have decided that no one will get away with what happened that fateful day. Shanquella Robinson was alive when medical assistants first arrived at the vacation home in Cabo, Mexico, according to previous information from a police report. It also says that Robinson and others were in the house for close to 3 hours when a doctor from a nearby hospital declared her dead. However, according to Shanquella's death certificate, she passed away 15 minutes after she was injured. Thus, it is evident that the report was false. Despite the fact that he or she was aware that she was already dead, the doctor continued to administer an IV. The doctor who responded to the Cabo Six call to check on Shanquella, Dr. Gutierrez, claims that she was informed Robinson had consumed a lot of alcohol and that the medical call requested that Robinson be given an IV. The doctor determined from the police report that Shanquella had stable vital signs, but was dehydrated, unable to speak, and appeared to be drunk. Despite her friend's insistence that she be treated in the villa due to Shanquella's battered condition, the doctor reported that she believed Robinson needed to be transferred to a hospital. Instead of administering a dose based on what the Cabo Six were telling her, she should have done her job as a doctor and thoroughly investigated what had taken place. She tried to inject herself but was unsuccessful. When Robinson started having seizures, she stayed at home for close to an hour instead of insisting that she take her to the hospital. The seizures' convulsions only lasted less than a minute. The report says that one of her friends, Winter Donovan, called 9 and asked for an ambulance after she started to scream. We must all keep in mind that the Cabo Six, 2 of whom work in the medical field, could have attempted to save their friend before they called the doctor. Ginny and Alice are both healthcare providers, but they did nothing to try to save their friend's life. Shanquella presented with difficulty breathing and a lowered pulse while Wenger was calling for an ambulance, and they gave her rescue breaths. When Shanquella noticed Robinson no longer had a pulse, the doctor and a friend of hers started performing CPR. According to the report, Shanquella died more than 3 hours after the entire situation was written down. It also mentions that the police were called to stop person cardiopulmonary arrest. The fact that Shanquella died of her injuries within 15 minutes of being brutally beaten shows that the police report is false and filled with lies. Notably, Robinson's physical injuries are not mentioned in the information provided by the police, which members of her family claim to have found on her body. After an autopsy, Mexican officials determined that she died from severe injuries to her back and neck before she was buried. It is alleged that Alice, one of the CONFRONTS, was the one who leaked the brutal video, which made it impossible to know exactly what had happened to Shanquella. The video shows a woman in her underwear who is barely speaking being repeatedly punched in the face by another woman until she falls to the ground. A person heard saying, "Quella, can you at least fight back?" who was not visible in the video. The CONFRONTS took videos of their friend and asked her to fight back rather than assisting her. The group should have stopped the fight when they saw that Shanquella was in a fight, as the video made it abundantly clear. They should have sought medical attention for her if that was not possible. They just didn't. The video must have been leaked by Alice in the hope that only one individual would be implicated in the crime. But why doesn't she just tell the truth about what happened if that were the case? When paparazzi approached Alice, she had the opportunity to explain what had happened to her friend. She ran away, however, rather than taking that chance. When Robinson's mother received a phone call informing her that there had been a fight in Cabo and that her daughter had been injured, her family became suspicious of her friend's claims that she had died from alcohol poisoning. Shanquella's mother had believed that her daughter would be fine because she was traveling with her best friend Kalu from the beginning of the lying drama between the CONFRONTS. This trust was shaken when she learned from the autopsy that her daughter had suffered neck and back injuries and died, despite Kalu telling her straight that it was alcohol poisoning. Shanquella's mother, Salamander Robinson, told media outlets that each friend from the trip had a different story and even had the courage to go to her house to plan what they would wear to Shanquella's funeral. Watching the only people who know what happened to her daughter comfortably lie about it must have been so heartbreaking for the mother. It has been a long time since Mexican authorities announced that they were looking into Robinson's death as a possible case of femicide. The FBI followed suit, though they are keeping it a secret. Even with this new information, it has taken the authorities a long time to take Shanquella's death seriously. However, it is past due that they take action, according to Quill, Robinson's sister. Stated in a GoFundMe statement that the family is raising money for legal fees and will continue their investigation. In order to encourage the public to support an investigation into Shanquella and the pursuit of retribution.